Hi, this is Walter at Perfect Mind Champions Way. You've probably been watching some of my video tutorials for WordPress. So this one is actually going to cover basically resizing images, because I know basically in WordPress you got to be fairly exact with your image size when you're basically changing or adding an image to your site. So let's go ahead and get started. So for example, these images here are 500 by 500, so they're squares. This big image here is 1000 by 500. So kind of different sizing. So when you are picking an image, you gotta basically first look at the image size that you're gonna need and then decide what image to use. So for example, for something like this, you probably wouldn't want, basically a close-up of something like this, because it basically will not look right on here. So for example, if I go into my image folder and let's say I want to make a square. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to open with. So now in PCs we have a nice image tool called Microsoft Office Picture Manager. So I usually will use it just because it's a really easy tool to use, and you don't need to know anything on it, because of course Photoshop basically is a great image manager tool, but you do need how to work it, and it's not so easy when you're basically having to resize images, cropping images and whatnot. So let me just show you on Microsoft Picture Manager, because it's very easy to use. So here you can see if I hover over my image, it tells me that it's 2048 by 1056. So the width is 2480, then the height is 1056. So from our website, so let's say I wanted to create a button out of that, a 500 by 500 button. So that means I would have to create a square out of a rectangle image. So go up to picture and now pick crop. So the first thing you want to decide is basically what do you want in that square. So of course the text area would be the most logical thing. So I'm going to basically just grab my end. So you can see when you choose picture and you go to crop, it basically gives you the toggle bar. So that's what I'm basically dragging. So over here I drag the center toggle bar on the left, bring it in, and while I'm doing that, you can see on the right hand side it's basically showing you the image resizing while it's happening. So if I grab my right toggle here, center, look at the image size where it says new right here. This is the original, below it says new. So look at that new scale and you'll see that it's actually moving down. So you can see how it's coming down. So basically I'm bringing both sides in to basically try to make them the same. So I want to have where the height and the width is identical. So I'm going to bring this side so it matches the 1056 side. So I'm going to keep dragging, but at the same time I want to basically match both sides so they're, so the text is in the middle somewhat. So play around with that and drag from both sides. So I'm going to drag the other side now. And now here we go. So I'm in 11, 1090, 1087, a bit more. You can see how it's coming down, and okay, they're fairly close. I'm going to keep on there, and you can see I've got 1056 on both. Then I'm going to click OK. Now I've got my image cropped to a complete square, so that's a total square, because if you recall from our image square here, these are 500 by 500, and of course if we were to go into the website editor and I basically look at that image, you can see that it's 500 by 500. So that's what I'm trying to get. So let's go ahead and bring that tool back up. So now we've got 1056 by 1056. It's still too big, but what I can do now is go back into picture and change to resize. Once I've resized, I can now basically change this to custom height, custom widths and height, and basically type in 500 and change that to 500. And now you got an exact 500 by 500 image. I can then click OK. There's your square, which will fit perfectly now into your WordPress website. So all you got to do now is basically just go in, File, Save As, save it on your desktop wherever you like, rename it if you want, and then that image is ready to go into your website. So fairly easy, right? So now what we're going to do is, instead of creating a square now, I'm going to create an actual, let's use a banner image. So same idea, I'm going to go back into my images. And if you recall, let's just look at our banner images and let's see what size we need. So 2000 by 650, and I'm getting the size by going to the image and basically hovering over and basically click on the little pencil icon. Very top left, it tells me the dimension I need, so 2000 by 650. So again, I'm going to go where my images are, which is in my download folder. From here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to open with, and I'm going to use Microsoft Picture Manager. So now again, if you basically hover over the image, it's going to give you the size, 2048 by 1 by 1056. So 2048 by 1056 is my image size. As you can see the dimension right there. So now, as we know, our image needs to be 2000 by 650. So we start off with cropping first. So first I'm going to basically drop my access. So basically on my width it's 2048, but I only need 2000, so I'm going to knock 48 pixels out of that. So that's my width. So I'm going to knock probably 20 from either side to keep it relatively close, or you can drop it all from one side. It's entirely up to you how you want to play with that. So I'm going to drop all mine from one side. So then I've got my widths already. Perfect. But now my height is basically 400 pixels too much. So where do we want to cut off from? Do we want to cut off some from the top? So let's cut a bit from the top. Then the rest I'm going to cut from the bottom, which is about 270 roughly. So I'm going to go ahead and keep cutting. So here you can see now on the right hand side, while I'm cropping, this basically tells me where I am. So you can see 800, now it's coming back down to 7, and I'm going to take it to 650. And 651. And if you are like 1 pixel off, it's fine. So 2000 by 651, good enough. I can basically click OK. And you can see that is now basically going to be my banner picture. So I can now go ahead and click File, Save As, and you are good to go. So basically, playing around with your images or resizing them is really not that hard to do. It's just a matter of basically finding the right tool to do it with. Online, of course, there are a few different free online picture resizers, but they really don't work all that well because they basically don't let you crop so easily. So again, I'm going to use the same image, but I'm going to use the online picture resizer. So I'm going to continue. Now there's a lot of free different resizers out there, so you can just Google it. Now here basically it tells me I'm going to crop the image first. So, but the problem is here it doesn't give me a counter of where I am, so I don't really know where what dimensions I have. But if I basically estimate a square, I hit crop selection. Now you can see below here estimated final 630 by 630. So I'm still basically 200 off on my width. So I would basically have to try to crop it again. Oops. So let's basically pick it up from here. And again, I can't see how much this is, so I'm just going to estimate again and crop selection. And 713 by 627, so it's still a bit too much. So as you can see, this is kind of a little bit of a pain because you don't know where you are. You got to keep guessing, where the picture manager actually tells you immediately where you are with your actual cropping efforts. So open with. So here's my image again. So if I go to picture and I do a crop, as soon as I toggle, you'll see the original and the new. So as soon as I start toggling one of these areas, you'll see that the counter starts working on the right hand side there in the new section. So it tells me exactly where I am with my size. So that's why this is my favorite tool to use. It's very easy to use, and your PC should have it. If not, basically you can just download it. It's basically called Microsoft Picture Manager. So you can basically just go to Google, type in Microsoft Picture Manager, download, and from here you can basically go ahead and just download right from Microsoft. So really good tool to have for your PC to resize images. I hope this was helpful. Have a great day.